You're listening to Materials Business, the podcast where engineering, leadership, and innovation meet diversity and inclusion. Hosted by Monica Hernandez, engineer, entrepreneur, and industry advocate. When we embrace different perspectives, we create stronger industries, smarter solutions, and lasting impact. Now, let's dive in.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when are you watching us, and thank you for being part of the Material Business community. My name is Monica Hernandez, and I am your host, and I have a very special guest with me. Tin, thank you so much for accepting, for being part of this episode. We're going to speak about corrosion materials, new energy, how is that looking like, but we're also going to look into what is your journey, and then how have you been shaped into the way that you are right now? Like, you guys are doing exceptional work. And so thank you so much for accepting the invite and being here with me.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. All right, so let's start by telling the audience, who are you?
Well, good day, everybody. My name is Jing Liu. I'm currently an associate professor at University of Alberta, Chemical and Material Engineering Department. My research area is mainly on corrosion and material degradation, with the fundamental background as metallurgy and electrochemistry. And very much looking forward to today's talk.
Thank you. I am also a metallurgical engineer, and I found it so interesting when at the beginning, when you're explaining what do you do as a metallurgical engineer, nobody really understands it other than your peers. So I know you guys have been heavily working on this, preparing materials for this transition, right? We are in this transition of energy from conventional to new ways of doing energy. It's been a huge goal for all the countries, and I know you guys have been busy preparing the material side on that way. Can you tell us a little bit about your investigation on especially carbon capture and hydrogen?
Well, my background is interesting. So my bachelor background is oil and gas industry, oil and gas engineering. So when I was undergraduate student, we had this chance to visit all the oil tank sites, pipeline sites, and at that time I noticed that corrosion is a huge problem. It's actually not just a maintenance challenge, it's a material challenge. And the idea of if we can understand the failure mechanism in order to design or choose the material better to against all of this brought me into this area. And when I joined UVA, nowadays everybody is looking at CCUS, decarbonization, hydrogen industry, and Alberta is an oil and gas province, right? So I was thinking, what can set me different, like what I can join, to this industry and make it fit into the decarbonization transition. So I thought about it. Then we were thinking, how about we try to work on some technology pathway that we can repurpose the existing oil and gas industry for new CCUS or hydrogen area. So yes, on one side we're heavily working on repurposing the existing. One example is existing refineries. So not just refine petrol crude, but also co-refine some biocrude. But the biocrude oil is high water level, high acidic. It causes lots of corrosion problem. And in the meantime, everybody is talking about CCUS, carbon capture. But after you capture it, how are you going to deal with it? You have to transport it, storage it. Then the idea is, can we use the existing pipeline to transport it? What is the material challenge we're going to face? Same idea for the hydrogen. I know there are quite a lot of company already blend hydrogen in natural gas for the transportation. But hydrogen is it brings in different kind of material challenge. So not just corrosion, it brings in embrittlement problem. So lots of things we are working on, and we are very excited about it.
So amazing. So it sounds that you guys are really busy with this. Are you guys working only in the province of Alberta, or are you guys working in some other provinces?
I collaborate with Ontario side, for example, Imperial Oil. Imperial
Mhm.
Oil, they are working on coal refining. So right now they are coal refine some crude vegetable oil instead of coal refining some nasty bio oil, for example, pyrolysis. And speaking of this, I think the only existing biorefinery, so refine 100% of bio oil is that refinery is in BC called Parkland. So I
Okay.
also collaborate with them. And of course, I collaborate my previous employer, Chemical Research. They are also BC based. So yeah, not just Alberta area.
That's amazing. So it seems like the region is already thinking forward, and then a lot of steps have been taken into going really truly into the transition, because it's good to say, let's go green, but if we don't have the infrastructure, uh, how can we make it happen? So it's good to understand those behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think even though the industry partner they are conservative, they are also embracing the challenge. Not to
Mhm.
mention, we had the carbon tax, right? So they do want to make an effort, but just like you don't want your Mercedes to burn any gasoline, right? So same idea for the current refineries, they are not gonna just take in any crude oil before knowing their engine can handle it or not. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So that is where we merge corrosion management, asset integrity, and sustainability. So these are kind of our three pillars in integrity growth, like in infinity growth: integrity, corrosion, and sustainability. How can we merge it together? How can we really understand what you're saying?
Hmm.
If we select our material in the right way, how can that help me manage my asset to get less corrosion, to extend their life?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's you need to be brave, but embracing changes, but you don't want to be uh you need to know the risk and all the dangers associated with it.
Absolutely. So, have you already put in, like, in practice some of that research? Like, have you, like, can you tell us maybe if it is not IP protector or something? Some maybe one of those projects that it's a good example of this repurposing, let's say, or
I think it's too early to say that right now commercially I don't think from my research group current research group there's anything being deployed. Um,
Mhm.
but when I was a postdoc in UBC, we did invent one sensor, which is right now used in the mining industry. So where they can monitor um, the pressure oxidation. So that is based on electrochemistry. So in mining industry, if you want to extract some metal, for example, copper or gold, you use acid leaching. You don't want to make the environment too oxidizing or too much acid because it's gonna damage the reactor. But in the meantime, you also would like to know how far, monitor the whole process. So we develop ORP sensor on those, and right now it's installed in Lahir Island. I think one of the biggest pressure oxidation autoclave for gold extraction.
Oh, that's
Another
amazing.
thing, yeah, thank you. Another thing I would say, after I joined the U of A, we developed a new alloy, so concentrated alloy. That alloy is right now has a huge potential for um, um, hydrogen combustion engine or even some high temperature reactor liner served as a liner or surface. Because, for example, for hydrogen production process, one of the process is pyrolysis. It deal with very high temperature and maybe comes with, for example, well, when you produce hydrogen, you're gonna generate hydrogen, right? So the hydrogen can diffuse very fast. So we are also working on developing a novel coating material for extreme conditions.
These advancements are so amazing. Like as a materials engineer, I always dreamt about the day where we say, okay, we have a new material because, it's like it doesn't really have, it has a little alloy extra or a little extra element, but it's not like something completely novel. But hearing what you're saying is like you came from the problem, like we are going towards this transition. The rates of diffusion are something different from what we have dealt before. How can we protect the material for that degradation that is supposed to happen?
Yeah.
And then you found it.
I think for corrosion, you have to understand whenever you try to propose something or either it's protection or ultimate solution, you change a new material. Corrosion is two part. You need to understand the environment. You need to understand the metal. We learn from the failure. Everybody learn from the failure why it failed. Then when you propose a new material or when you design a new material, you are targeting the failure mechanism. And that's idea give me for those high temperature materials is we learn from how the current high temperature alloy, for example, Inconel, 310, all those high temperature alloys, how it failed. Um, I think uh, why I was browsing your previous podcast, there was one student were talking about high entropy alloy. So the new material we are working on falls into the same family,
Mhm.
but it's not high entropy. I would consider it's medium entropy. This might be too technical term. I think this new group of alloy definitely brought us into a new area that um, can definitely open lots of doors. But the problem is this type of, I'm not sure if this previous student mentioned this, but this type of alloy is very expensive. You don't want to build an entire new infrastructure or pipeline or whatever storage tank with this new alloy. It can only serve as a liner or a coating material because of the cost. So always have too many things you need to consider. I always say that academic people, including myself, maybe um, lives in very fantasy world that we choose a material and we didn't think about the cost.
Mhm.
But nowadays, for example, I communicate with you, I communicate with other industry people. They were think that we will never pay for that much. So lots of
And that is amazing that you mentioned that, because and that is part of what we are trying to do with the podcast. Is everyone that is here, we have people from academia, from industry, from undergrad, people like we have audience in every continent in the world, and we all come from our experiences, right? So coming from industry, things are like fast, 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 let's do it. And then coming from academia is how can we really do it better? And
Mhm.
then lasting. And then here comes us trying to make the merge. Okay, what is the sweet spot? And like you said, it's very important that regardless of where we are positioned at, we looked at those different points of view, but you would have never get to that conclusion should have not you talk to people in industry that is like, yeah, this is nice, but it's like super, super expensive. So we won't go for that. Thank you. And off you go your research for years, right? So it's like, how can we make that be the sweet spot where it meets the needs from industry, and it's purposefully made to serve uh, like everyone, because that is what we're supposed to be doing, right? So
Yeah,
that's a really good point.
yeah, and I think that's why all those government funding agency right now is promoting interdiscipline proposals. Interdiscipline research is trying to push, for example, researchers from engineering talk to researchers from from finance, right? From policy, all those different areas, so we can communicate and know better. For example, if you think about it, building CO2 pipelines, right? The CO2 captures. But the community, the people, the residents area, they may think different way. That why I don't want you to build such pipeline around my neighborhood. So you have to take different, even though you are trying to ensure that the CO2 transportation will be safe, but you also need to educate people from different level, from different background.
That's such a powerful point. We had someone in the podcast, and she brought the idea of being sustainably bringing mining into communities. And I think you know her, Doris. She's big in the CIM anyway. But what she was saying, and she wrote a whole book about it, is how can we make it socially sustainable? So things like what you're mentioning is, if the community is involved, they will embrace the project instead of rejecting it. So you will have less chances of, I don't know, some sort of backfire down the hole, but because you have listened to people. So, and you also brought up a really interesting point, and I think everyone that has come to the podcast, I don't think there is one person that has not said this. We need to collaborate. We
Yeah.
need to work together. We need to you know, we need to listen to other people's perspectives, and not only different. When I think about diversity and inclusion, it's part of that is I need to listen to what the accountant needs to say, what the financial person is thinking about, and they have to listen to us as well. And then as a community or a team together, we can make it what it's supposed to be. So it's successful.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
amazing. So is this new material having a name yet? Or
I
you're
call
working on it?
it is wolf metal based CCA, complex concentrated alloy. Complex, we know why it's complex. Concentrated alloy is the idea behind it. So, for example, we have our traditional alloy like steels, aluminum alloys. They have one principal metal element, and the rest are so those are the main weight percent of the alloy, and the rest is just some alloying element. So for this type of alloy, is they have multiple principal alloys. So they have like not equal molar. There are examples with equal molar. Yeah. So the name is complex concentrated alloy was because of they have multiple principal alloy elements. And the reason so the metal group I'm working with is they call it wolf metal. This is an old electrochemical word. So where you have metal, they name those type of metal as wolf metal. For example, aluminum, titanium, niobium is they have very high oxidation activity. So they turns to react with oxygen very well and form some metal oxide. And we all know metal oxide is not conductive. So it sounds like, you have water flow. Current is it's like works like water, right? And as soon as you build a oxidation layer, sounds like we have a valve. We turn off the water, so we turn off the current. So that's why we chose this type of. That's why they call it wolf metal. Yeah. So the alloy we designed, the multiple principal elements, metal elements we chose from this specific group.
That's amazing. I'm very excited to read about it, and I'm very excited that it's done here in Alberta, and then it is, it hits home when it is something that you care about. So I'm very congratulations to you, to the group of matter experts, and to everyone that is participating in these kinds of advancements. I think we are going in exactly the right direction.
Thank you.
There is a couple of the podcast guests that have come have said that when we are designing any kind of plant or addition or repurposing, if we study well at the design stage, we can reduce the impact of what is going to happen by, I don't know, some say 70%, 75%, 80%. So you think this is a really good representation of the importance of designing the material in a right way from the beginning?
I don't think I have a precise number to think about this possibility, but I do think designing is a very important stage. But as I mentioned earlier, when you design, you should have a solid reasons, a list of solid reasons why you design in this way, and that's why I mentioned that we should learn from the failure. Why it failed. So this gonna leave you, I think, give you a higher chance for or higher possibility number, like 70% or 80%. But uh, it's also a lucky thing. Sometimes you design it, you think about all the rational, but it may take years for you to be lucky to get somewhere.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
This is amazing. So now let's talk about your journey. So you mentioned when we were off cameras that you wanted, like, you were in this role or in here because you had a role model, someone that you saw and you were like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want to do it. So what motivated you to search this and then be a researcher in this field, which is not very known, for one, and then for two, is not something that a lot of people will do, especially women. So what brought you into doing these kinds of research?
I think it was one thing is I'm always a tough girl, very hands-on. And actually, in China, you have this national exam for you to go to universities, right? It's very competitive, and they are divided into two different groups. Is one mainly focused on science and engineering, one mainly focused on arts and literatures. And I'm definitely the other group. So when I was undergraduate student, I started my college when I was very young, 17, and I didn't know what to do. But I know I'm not good at literatures, arts, so I chose engineering school. And by the time when I graduated, I got a job offer, and at that time my grandpa just passed away, and um, there's no kids in my family went to graduate school. So my parents was saying that, your grandpa always want a graduate student coming out from our family. How about you take another national exam so I can go to graduate school? Then, because I was very young, I didn't know what to do. So you were asking me what brought me here. I think it was always because I don't know what to do yet. And one advice I would like to give to the young generation is, if you don't know what to do, and if your family support you, stay in school first until you figure out. So I went to graduate school. After 2 years. My supervisor at that time asked me, do you want to go for a PhD? I thought about it. I said, yeah, sure, why not? And at that time, in my mind, if you go for a PhD, you're very smart. And that gave me, the error, like, I want to do it. And then this time I don't need to take an exam because I was directly changed to the program. So it was very interesting that year. So there was one lady. She was in my research group a few years ahead of me, and she got exchange program, went to Australia to do her PhD. But she want to keep her PhD in China as well. So she came back, give a talk, defend her PhD thesis, and she was staying in my dorm room. So I spent a whole month with her. I was very, definitely I respect her. And I thought, she had this shiny outside. I was like, this is very interesting. I never thought about it before that. Think about it. My family never had a graduate school student. So I was thinking, maybe I can go to, go get my PhD from other country. But I was already a PhD student. So I talked to my supervisor, and he only had one PhD student, so the current PhD student there. So he asked me, do you want to think about it? And it's going to be very challenging, and your English is awful. Then I talked to this lady, and then I thought about the thing you mentioned. Well, she can do it, I can do it. So I quit. I quit my PhD in China. I was sending offers everywhere, and finally I got an offer from UBC, which I was very lucky, because my English score was quite low, barely pass. But I was very lucky that they offered me, and it turns out to be a great journey here. But yeah, so my point is, I think there's something guiding you. If you don't know what you want to do, just stay in school first, or find out what you really don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great advice. If you don't know what to do, first don't do anything. Just listen and hear, and just sit still for a second.
Yeah, and I
then
think
find out exactly what you don't want.
Yeah, people around you will eventually give you ideas, and
Mm-hmm.
I think by the time when you are more mature, stronger, you will have the right instinct to pick the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you also need to be brave. Be brave enough to make changes. I would graduate at the age of 26 or 27 if I stay in China. But because I quit, I restarted everything in UBC. It is delayed for 2 years also, but I never regret it, and I don't believe this. I know some student would be very proud to say, I'm the youngest of what. I'm the youngest of what. No, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter of your age. Yeah.
That's a really good advice. Doesn't matter almost anything, your age or your gender or your religion, or like just stay there and then listen to what is given to you and then go for it. Because then after you get it, it's going to get difficult sometimes. But nobody told you that it's going to be easy either.
It will never be easy, even right now, today. So when I interview students for like PhD position or master position, I often give them a few options for them to choose their research direction, because you will run into difficulties all the time, no matter which route you chose. But the fact is, you're the one who chose this direction. You have more strength to conquer difficulties. So if somebody chooses for you, force you, and at that time, if you run into difficulties, you probably, the little evil inside of you will say, "Oh, I don't like that from the beginning. It's not my fault. I don't like that." So yeah, I think you're right. It will never be easy. Always difficult.
Yeah. And then with perseverance, and one of the things that I always say is when you get to those moments, because they're always going to be like, they're all like, if you're in business or in academia, or like I run my own business, or I am employed from someone, there is always going to be something. If you remember the why did I do that? Why I am here? Why did I marry that guy? Why did I chose 5 kids? Why? The why is very important. When you remember that, that brings you down to the basics, and then off you go. It's easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's amazing. I told you it's gonna be super quick. We are almost at the end. When we get here, everyone is like, "Oh, it went super fast." So I have 2 last questions. The first one you have already kind of evolved into, and then you have given a lot of good practical advice for anyone that is young. So I'm gonna change it a little bit. So because you are in that, but you are at the other line of defense, right? So if I have someone in the podcast that is in your position that you were a couple of years or many years ago, when you're going to send your candidacy to be a PhD student or to continue or pursue, what is one thing that is really good to harness as a student to get some of those positions? Like, what is one skill that you will say, if you're there, just, or if I would have done this again, I would have, I don't know, do this or that?
You mean for the student or for me?
For the student, because now you're the one that is interviewing them, and then you have that background of what should this student, in which position should this student be so they get what they want?
I think, well, on top of all the technical background, you have to be good at what you're doing, right? So on top of all the technical background, you have to pass that bar. I would say resilience.
Mm-hmm.
I think the student must go through a tons of difficulties. So they know how to handle challenge. They know how to handle failure. And then they come back here again. Because nowadays, compared to, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, I wouldn't say the life is much easier. It's definitely more competitive, But from the time being of within school, within the education system, um, they don't have many chances to be challenged or run into some real difficulties. Like, for example, my parents were always saying that they were starving when they were kids. So I yeah. there's one interview I listened. I think it was from I forgot the CEO's name. Is I wish you nothing but miserable in the beginning, because that will train you that will give you the resilience you need to be successful.
That's amazing.
Another thing is always be curious.
Yeah,
Always be curious. So curiosity will lead you to explore new areas, new challenges all the time.
that's really good. Coming back to failure, I have one of my favorite authors on failure is Ryan Leake, and he actually wrote a book called Chasing Failure. And then he's super funny. My kid, he's 12 years old, and he loves him because he presents it in a really funny way. And that is exactly what he says. It's like you need to fail either way. So you choose to fail at 10, or at 20, or 50, but the older you are, probably the more costly in that same mistake is going to be. So why don't just fail right away as many times as you can, so you would build that resilience, and then you will know how to react to those failures when you're older.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly that. Last question, though. Why should people listen to our Material Business podcast?
I think to communicate and learn from a different perspective. As we mentioned earlier, right? There are lots of things changing around the whole world, and everything is made of something, and that something is material. So definitely, I think not many people chose material or material science or material engineering as a major. But in your life, you need to be aware what are the material challenges around us. I think just for some common sense or some fun side stories, you would like to understand why the whole world is running this way, and also learn from different people like academia, student, industry people, policymaker. I think they all they will all contribute to your whole common sense. And by saying common sense, I think common sense nowadays are different from common sense even last year.
With everything that is happening right now, it's I will say it, like, to be more integral, and then to have, just like you said, a conversation, to be interesting in a table when you're in a dinner. You don't know where you're gonna be meeting your next employer or your next proposed project, or sometimes it is at a dinner table or at that basketball court or golf court or whoever. But if you don't know what to talk about, then
Yes.
you'll be silent.
Yeah, always engage yourself in a more diverse conversation background if you can. Yeah, that's very good. That's a very good point.
Thank you so much. We have come to an end. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. I really appreciate the work that we have been collaborating with each other. I really appreciate you, and I'm very proud of what we are doing, although it's not my work, because I get to see and I get to say I know her. So
That's very
it's
nice of
really
you, but I think we are contributing the same community contributing.
absolutely. And if we can spark something in someone's head, like she did it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
That is the whole purpose of this.
Yes,
Thank
exactly.
you so much for being so open, for coming. I know your time is so precious. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll put all the links to reach out to you on the comments below. And for anyone that thinks this episode is good for someone else, just share it, please. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do too. And I'll see you in the next episode.
See you. Thank
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Materials Business Podcast. Feel free to visit infinitygrowth.ca to see show notes and explore other episodes. If there's someone you think should hear this episode, please share with them. Take care of yourself and have a great rest of your day.